The member for Kooyong has the call.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise today to pay my respects on the condolence motion on the deaths of Lance Corporal Stefan Rick Milosevic, Sapper James Thomas Martin and Private Robert Hugh Frederick Pote. All three men were tragically killed by an insider attack at Patrol Base Wahab in Erzincan Province on the 29th of August this year. This was a tragedy for their families and is a tragedy for our nation. Private Robert Pote was a member of the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment Task Force Group, and was from the 6th Battalion Royal Australian Regiment 6 RAR based in Brisbane, Queensland. Private Pote enlisted in the Army in 2009, where he was posted as a rifleman. He had a reputation for, quote, creating mischief without getting caught. He was very proud of his service and he won numerous awards, including the Australian Active Service Medal with Clasp ICAT, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the Australian Defence Medal, the NATO Non-Article 5 Medal with Clasp ISAF, and the Infantry Combat Badge. He participated in Operation Slipper in Afghanistan from June to August 2012 and is survived by his parents Hugh and Jenny and his sister Nicola. Lance Corporal Milosevic, known as Rick to his family or Milo to his mates, was deployed to Afghanistan with the 3rd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment Task Group and was from the 2nd 14th Light Horse Regiment, also based in Brisbane, Queensland. He enlisted in the Army in 2008 and he was quickly identified for his talents and became a light armoured vehicle crew commander for the ASLAB vehicles. He won the following awards and honours: Australian Active Service Medal with Clasps, Iraq 2003 and ICAT, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Australian Defence Medal, the NATO Non-Article 5 Medal with Clasp ISAF, the Army Combat Badge, and the Return from Active Service Badge. He served in Operation Slipper in Afghanistan in 2012, as well as Operation Kruger in Iraq in 2010. As is often the case when Australian diggers lose their lives, the family issues a statement which Defence releases. This statement on behalf of Lance Corporal Milosevic's family includes this line: At Kapuka, Rick was awarded Most Outstanding Soldier, and during his Junior Leaders course, he was presented with the award for Trainee of Merit. Our family is now united by grief as we try to come to terms with the loss of Rick. This is our private time to grieve, and we would welcome our privacy, especially that of Rick's children, to be respected. Madam Deputy Speaker, the family deserves their privacy, but they also need to know that Lance Corporal Milosevic served his country bravely, and we are all very proud of his service and his sacrifice. Sapper James Thomas Martin was on his first operational deployment as a member of the 3rd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment Task Group. He enlisted in the Australian Army on the 24th of January 2011 and was later allocated to the Corps of the Royal Australian Engineers. He completed a number of additional courses, including Combat Engineer, High Threat Research, Communications and Weapons courses, and was highly decorated with honours including the Australian Active Service Medal with Clasp ICAT, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the Australian Defence Medal, the NATO Non-Article 5 Medal with Clasp ISAF, and the Army Combat Badge. In the statement released by the family on behalf of Sapper James Martin, it reads, "He was very thoughtful, caring and considerate of others. This really showed when selecting gifts for family members on special occasions. James always seemed to be able to choose something perfect, even if it was something totally unexpected by the recipient at the time. The family's bookshelves are peppered with books gifted by James, and Holly's iPod is filled with music selected by him. James was a wonderful person and will be sorely missed by his family and anyone who knew him. Madam Deputy Speaker, I have visited Afghanistan with the Australian Defence Force last year. I saw firsthand of the enormous sacrifice and contribution being made by the more than 1,500 Australian Defence personnel, men and women in uniform. In this place, as elected representatives of the Australian people, we have a huge responsibility. A responsibility to ensure that our men and women in uniform get the best protection possible, but also to ensure that they are participating in a just cause. I believe, despite the difficulties and the challenges that we are facing, and despite the tragic loss of 38 Australian lives, that we need to remain the course in Afghanistan. By being in Afghanistan, we are taking the fight right up to the terrorists who have taken the lives of more than 100 Australians since 9/11. In each case, those attacks, whether it was in New York or at Bali or in Jakarta, the perpetrators of those attacks had links back to Afghanistan. This is why we are there. But there needs to be an exit date, and there is in 2014. We have, as parliamentarians, enormous responsibilities. And I just want to say to the families of each of these three men that your country is extremely grateful for the service and sacrifice of your fathers and your brothers and your grandsons. And so I say about Private Robert Hugh Frederick Pote, Lance Corporal Milosevic, and Sapper James Thomas Martin, your lives were not lost in vain. We are proud of your sacrifice, and on behalf of a grateful nation, we say, lest we forget.